Okay, hang on. Right, here we go. Hello and welcome everyone to our second afternoon session. We welcome back Sarah and Sarah from Danesfield, she's the head teacher, and we also welcome Ben, who's a teacher and also lead of the EdTech demonstrator program. I was lucky enough to join Sarah's session yesterday. Very inspirational, some brilliant info that came out of there, and so I'm really looking forward to this one. So without further ado, over to Sarah and Ben. If you've got any questions, please do ask them in the question and answer section. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much. So as David said, I am the head teacher of Danesfield Primary School. To give you context of the school, we are a primary school with just over 400 children. And I think what we have really seen is the impact that technology can have on raising standards across all areas of the school. And we want to ensure that we capture that when we return kind of back to normal school life. So to give you a bit of background at the start of our journey, we wanted to kind of push ourselves. We wanted to think about how we could push our own knowledge and learning, beyond our teaching and learning beyond our comfort zone. And we wanted to establish a way of working as a team that seeks to constantly improve. And we could see the impact that embedding technology could have on that. I don't know if people can hear Dave as well. No. Ben, do you know?
I can hear
your
as well.
honesty.
Dave, do you want to mute yourself?
It's just
David.
It's really appreciated. So a big thank you for joining us. I think it's amazing.
Hopefully you can still hear me at the same time as David's talking.
Do you have a question?
And as a school, we were in the bottom 10% progress in maths and English, and teachers at the start of our journey 4 years ago had no opportunity for professional development. And we wanted to change that way of working, and we wanted to set our school vision. And that's when we started to build in the use of technology. David wasn't muted, now we can see him. So we wanted to see how we could build in that technology. As I said yesterday, and I will kind of just make that point again. So we have gone from being in the bottom 10% for progress for English and maths, and the most recent SATS results placed us in the top 1%. Now, we all know that that is not the reason that we do everything, but it's just to demonstrate the impact that technology can have on all areas of the curriculum. Ben, if you can flick to the next slide, that'd be great, please. So one of the things that we touched on yesterday is thinking about the aim that we can have with technology, and to the next slide please, but thinking as well how our biggest challenge is always around staff confidence and how important it is that you and your team have a growth mindset. You need to create that culture and with where your teachers are not afraid to fail, and I think over the last few weeks teachers have and children have proved how they can adapt their way of working and really challenge themselves to take on a new way of teaching. And with remote teaching, we have seen that opportunity. And I think it's really important that we don't lose that when we go back into the classroom, that we carry on that learning culture, that we carry on that growth mindset where we're learning from each other and building on those opportunities. If we go on to the next slide now, one of the things that we've been reviewing is how we carry out our professional development. At the start of our journey, we got rid of our one ICT lead, and we asked teachers to lead in an area that they felt excited about. So that might be Skype, Minecraft, microbits. And the teachers went off and they did their research about these things, and then they used them in their classroom, and they then shared the impact that they could have. And we will very much be carrying on with that model when we return, and thinking about how important it is to support each other and to have that level of collaboration. With technology, you have some members of staff who are probably feeling quite confident and some members of staff that are not. And it's really important that we work together to support each other on that journey and share everything, share our successes, share what went well and share what didn't go so well. And we have created a staff team where we create little videos to share with each other, where we can kind of talk about the things that have worked really well in the classroom and the things that we want to change going forward. Going on to the next slide, thinking about something that we will also be carrying on is our planning using Teams. This gives the opportunities for teachers to take their PPA at home. It enables them to carry on working on documents that they had been using in school. It means that they can access them anywhere, and it just means that teaching assistants can also be involved in that process and able to access the documents before the lesson. And I think that level of collaboration is really important. Even if you're in a one-form entry school, being able to share that information with your teaching assistant ahead of the lesson. And I know my teachers especially really love the fact that they can take their PPA time from home. From a senior leadership point of view, going on to the next slide, looking at things that as a leadership team we all need to ensure that our staff have seen. So I need to ensure at the beginning of the year that everybody has read the school policies, the risk assessments, the health and safety documents. Now, having that staff team enables me to share that with all staff, and they are able to read them in their own time, well, kind of read them and access them at any point. It also enables me to then create a form for the staff to complete, which gives the evidence for me that says that they've actually read the documents. Things like staff meeting minutes, everything now is shared, and we have access to that on that one staff team. Going on to kind of my final slide of this, I think this is a rare opportunity that we have within education, and Stephen Hawking said, intelligence isn't the ability to, intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And I think this quote rings true for education more than it ever has done. We have had an opportunity where we've all had to reflect on how we deliver our lessons. We've had to ensure that they are accessible to everybody, and it really gives us the opportunity to think about the Marsha Goldsmith quote, which is, what got you here won't get you there. Our learners have been asked to adapt and work in a different way, and this has enabled their level of creativity to thrive. The lockdown that we have faced has tested everybody's ability to adapt, and using technology in the classroom has been the biggest factor in the reasons that Danesfield was successful in moving to remote teaching. By using technology day to day, by embedding it within technology, by embedding technology day to day, we have kind of given our opportunities to our teachers as well as our children to create that learning culture. Technology moves at such a pace that something that we used 2 years ago will no longer necessarily be the right tool for us to use within the classroom. And that creates that culture where we're all wanting to learn and build from each other's knowledge. We know that we are preparing the children for a future that we do not know what it quite looks like. They say at the minute, apparently 85% of jobs that our children go on to do have not yet been created. So I think it's really important that we prepare the children to become problem solvers, to think about how they can collaborate, and to think about the real world problems that they might be facing. I'm going to hand it over to Ben now, who's going to talk about some of the things, the practical side of it when you're back in the classroom.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that we've been thinking about since doing remote teaching, and how they've impacted our thoughts on teaching coming back in September in the classroom. And one of those things, a massive one, is freedom to be creative. Now, schools closed on the 20th of March this year, and Danesfield was fortunate enough to be very prepared and staff trained and children ready for remote learning. And on the first day of remote teaching, we asked the children to perform a task for a maths investigation. And that was to build a fractions wall, and you can see that on my team's assignments there, Monday the 23rd of March, build a fractions wall. And since the work came back for this assignment in our year 3 class, it's stuck with me ever since that day, because the creativity that came back from the children was just unbelievable. And for the first maths challenge that we'd given them with remote teaching, I just couldn't believe some of the things that the children had created for this task. And it's made us think about things like resources in the classroom, and how if I'd asked the children to perform this task in the classroom before lockdown, I probably would have just given them all the same resources and said, can you build a fractions wall, copy this fractions wall, and everyone's fractions wall would have basically been the same. And you'll see in a minute some examples of what the children created when they were at home. It's made us think, well, maybe we need to be a bit more open about the children's choices in terms of how they complete some of their work, not all of their work, but giving them choice in the resources they use, and thinking about completing tasks with confidence, using their strengths and areas that they feel proud of working in, whether that's creating something with physical resources, whether it's on the computers using Minecraft, drawing it. You'll see that there are so many different ways that the children have managed to complete this one task, and that continued through remote teaching with open-ended tasks. So not being too specific about what they have to come out with at the end of it. Build a fractions wall was their challenge for this, which was going to support them with the rest of their fractions work throughout the unit. And I'll just show you some of the examples that came out of this, and you can see some of the children have chosen to draw their fractions wall. Some of them have used Lego. One of them decided to use sticks, and they've still drawn their fractions. One of them has used wafers. And then you can see lots and lots of different ideas, some more Lego there. And just these different ideas and the creativity just naturally coming out of the children by giving them the choice and the freedom to choose their own resources has made us really think about how we might use that same method when we come back to school in September. Obviously, like I say, not for all lessons, but just a bit more freedom. If they want to complete something using Minecraft, then if you've got the option to do that, then why not? And if that makes them proud of their work and they still get a good outcome, then I think that's a really good way to move forward. Something else that we were doing before lockdown and before remote teaching is using Flipgrid in the classroom. And this obviously has continued whilst we're doing remote teaching. And if you don't know Flipgrid, it's a video recording app which is built into the Microsoft Teams platform. And we use it in the classroom to do performances. We do practice their modern foreign languages, rehearsing their times tables for their maths, becoming characters from history. We even do work where we can collaborate with other classes because the children can respond to each other's videos, and looking at presentation skills as well. And one of the biggest positive feedbacks we've received from parents is how using Flipgrid during lockdown and remote teaching has improved their child's presentation skills. And some of these children are the children that may be in class quite shy, or when we're teaching the children with our video calls, maybe won't step up and answer questions freely. But then we're seeing these children using the videos on Flipgrid, recording themselves and being proud of their work, showcasing their work with confidence, and you see a different side to the children. And another way we use Flipgrid whilst remote teaching is as like a video diary, and ask children to share their thoughts and feelings, how they're getting on at home, some of the things they've done during their days. And I just want to show you a short video of some of those children from our Year 3 class.
I feel really sad about it because I miss my friends. This weekend I got 2 awards. This one was for running up and down my garden. I completed 5,400 meters of running.
Hello people, today after our lunch we made these delicious donuts and I used my fractions, my 16 fractions on these, and this is what they look like now.
I'm feeling a bit sad that I can't spend any time with my friends.
I got on with my work and texted my friends, which was actually really fun. And then I finished my work and now I'm doing my vlog. Bye!
Today was a great day. I wish it could happen again. I went outside quite a bit and played on the trampoline as well.
So just receiving this feedback from the children day to day, we asked them to try and do a video every day or every couple of days. Made us think about the children's mental health and well-being, and made us think about how we can introduce that at school. And again, for those children that maybe find it difficult to talk to people, to talk to their friends about any problems they've got, could use Flipgrid as a tool to share their feelings, which then a teacher could look at and respond to with a video. Again, if children don't want to speak face to face with someone. So it's a real tool that we've taken from before remote teaching and used it to really improve maths and writing and lots of areas of the curriculum. Really fun activities with Flipgrid, and we've found this new mental health well-being option with it, which is definitely something we're going to implement in September. Something to think about. Another thing with technology is the impact on writing and maths, and you can see a wonderful piece of written work here from one of our Year 6 boys, and again he's had that freedom and a bit of choice in choosing to write something about Minecraft, which is obviously his interest, and using the technology, using Teams, using Word within Teams has allowed him to go in and edit that document, allow his teacher to see that document and make comments on it, and also share that document with other children. And I know that further up the school, years 5 and 6, they do work on Microsoft Word, and they're able to give peer feedback to each other, and they learn how to give constructive criticism to each other for their written work. And you can see the impact. You see this wonderful piece of work. We've seen a real impact with boys writing, but also using technology to improve maths as well. So we use things like Microsoft Forms, which is something we've used a lot during remote teaching, but also in the classroom. And if you know Forms, you can write questionnaires and quizzes, but these don't have to be just word quizzes. I mean, we've used it for maths. We've done crack the code lessons where the children have to crack a 4-digit code to open a padlock on a toolbox and try and work out and then get inside for the prize for the class. And again, that sort of little bit of creativity there from the teacher makes that lesson a bit more exciting for the children. Instead of just answering those simple calculations on a piece of paper, putting it into a forms quiz and adding it to this this mission of getting into the toolbox to see what the prize is for the class, just makes the student engagement much higher. And again, you can see on the screen a QR code. We use QR codes a lot at Danesfield School, and the beauty of a QR code for the children is a mystery behind it. The mystery of a QR code, what is going to happen when I scan that QR code? And all you need for this is simple devices and with a camera, and that camera can scan the QR code either through a QR website or through an app. And again, we've used this for maths hunts around the hall, going out if your Wi-Fi can stretch outside, taking those QR codes, sticking them on trees, sticking them around around your school building for the children to go around, hunt for those QR codes and answer the questions, whether that be maths or topic questions or English questions. Just get so much engagement from that mystery of a QR code. You can see as well there's some QR codes on books here where children have written book reviews, and then the QR codes get stuck to the back of the book, giving their work some purpose. And like Sarah mentioned earlier about real world problems, and making, instead of just writing that piece of work with no reason, it gets put onto a book and it goes into the school library for people to scan and see what other people thought of that book. So again, we talked about the children's creativity coming out with the remote teaching, but one of the challenges is for the teachers to come up with this creativity, thinking how you can adapt the software and these apps for younger children and make the lessons really engaging for them using technology. There's an example on screen as well of a Year 1 class learning about the rainbow fish, and they're telling the story of the rainbow fish using Flipgrid, which is what we looked at earlier, making short videos using puppets and telling the story so they learn the story before they write it down. And again, it has a huge impact on them learning new vocabulary, And it's just really, really fun for them to do in the class, which is one of the most important things. We've also got a Henry VIII Sway presentation there. If you haven't used Sway, it's a really, really good tool on Office 365 instead of using PowerPoint. And the beauty of Sway is it's very, very basic in terms of you just add text boxes and images, and then it creates a beautiful presentation automatically for you. So the children can concentrate on the content of their presentation more than the design work. So again, allowing children to some freedom to make that choice of making a Sway presentation and how they're going to put it together just makes it more engaging for them and allows their creativity to come out. Another thing that we've learned from remote teaching is using pre-recorded lessons and the impact of that. Our reception and year 1 teachers have pre-recorded their phonics and their literacy and their math lessons, and then the children have been able to access them in their own time during the day during remote teaching, and they've used their video calls with their classes as more of a sort of well-being thing to see how they're getting on and just have a bit of a chat. But we were thinking again for September, could we pre-record lessons? If you're a teacher and you know that you're going to be out of class one day, do you ever worry that your lesson won't be delivered in quite the way that you would like it to be? So we've been thinking about, well, if there's a particular lesson you would like your children to still receive from you and you know you're going to be out of class for a day or an afternoon, then you can pre-record that and put it into Microsoft Stream, and then the children can watch it and learn at their own pace, pause it, start it again through Teams, which is what they've been doing in year 1 and reception for all of their lessons. But we've been doing that further up the school as well for certain lessons to support children with their maths during remote learning. So it's another idea to take into September. So here's just a little example of our reception teachers.
Hello everybody! So today it is Monday and we are going to be learning about a new 3D shape. It has one curved surface and it's called a, not circle, a sphere. Can you say that word? Sphere. Have a go at making your own sphere challenge. Look around the house, find the different spheres and put them in order from the smallest to the largest.
Good morning everyone. Now we have a new phonics game, a single sound at the beginning. It has a digraph, 2 letters that make one sound in the middle, and it has a single sound at the end. So I have here Molly the monkey. And Molly, the monkey, is going to guess the sound. Or Molly has guessed the sound S. Now the sound S is not in my word, face of my stick man. Ooh, Molly has guessed the digraph E. And Molly's right. My word has the digraph E. Oh, Molly says, is it feet? It is. Let's read that together. Eat feet.
So this method obviously could be used further up the school, and I've got written on here about being able to use forms in Microsoft Stream. So I mentioned Microsoft Forms earlier. And what you can do now is if you're using Teams and Microsoft Stream, you can now add a form to your video. So if you wanted to assess the children or again pre-record a lesson, take some of that pressure off of your cover teacher, then you can set a forms quiz to come up at any point during your video, whether that's at the end as an assessment tool, so the children can all access it individually on their devices, or whether that's during the lesson where you would normally stop and ask questions to get feedback from the children. And again, here's a small part of that video with where the forms quiz has been added.
A sphere. Can you say that word?
So you can see it's
sphere. Have a go at making your own.
And once that link comes up at that point in the video, the teacher can click on the link and then the video will stop and then the forms quiz will load up for the child or for the whole class. And you can see I've just created a very short quiz with one question based on 3D shapes. So we've talked about what is the 3D shape and can the children decide whether it was a circle or a sphere. They would be able to answer the question, submit their answer, and then the teacher gets immediate feedback on that as well. So we're using a formed quiz. The teacher can see which children have answered the questions, whether they answer it correctly, and the children or teacher can go back and they can view the results to see if their question was answered correctly. And luckily, I did answer that one correctly. And
sphere challenge. Look around the house.
And then the video would then continue, and you can add a number of these formed quizzes into your videos as well. So another tool that we've taken from remote learning and would love to implement it when we come back in September, and thinking about these creative ideas and how they could have a real impact on our teaching and learning when we're back in school. I'm going to pass you back to Sarah now, and she's going to talk to you about what can be achieved by embedding technology.
Thanks, Ben. So we have kind of seen as a school how raising standards happens through the use of technology. We talked about at the beginning how we have created a culture of teachers who are engaged and excited, and we have that learning culture where we're genuinely trying to constantly challenge each other to think differently. We have seen the impact of using technology with the level of engagement with girls in STEM projects, and also how the boys nationally, where they are not necessarily excited by writing, they actually become more inspired and they understand the purpose of the writing task that's involved. And I think just to kind of really draw on some of the things that Ben has just said, one of the things that the children have not had the opportunity for over the last few weeks is to interact with their friends in the ways that they would normally. And we really have got an opportunity now to look at how we can embrace these opportunities that technology has created through speech and language, and really reflect on how we can impact in the classroom directly, so that the children, when they return to school, they see it as a positive experience of everything that we have learned. I believe now we just have time for questions, because we have gone slightly over, if there are any questions.
There are some questions, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys. Again, just a brilliant. Some of the stuff you're doing is fantastic, and great to see that it's going to continue into next year. Just before we do go over there, one question I do have is, do you think you're going to be using all the digital tools more than you were before COVID-19 lockdown, or do you think it's pretty much the same and it's just going to continue?
I think it's really important that whatever objective you're trying to achieve, you use the right tools for that lesson. So it may be that we will use some different tools, but it doesn't mean that we're going to just only use technology. I think it's really important to get the balance right. But I think we'll definitely be embracing more of the video technology tools that we've been using, and really enhancing kind of the opportunity to collaborate on the same kind of Word document or something for our Year 6s.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, thank you. And some people are commenting on those videos they saw. First of all, the videos of the brilliant remote teaching in early years. Those guys did a session yesterday all about how you can remote teach even in the early years, because people are thinking, well, because it's early years, it'll be far more difficult. They did a great session talking through all the great things they did. But people have been wowed by those videos. What a great resource. I think one question is asking, are they available to share with staff as good examples? I think they're asking if they can share your videos with their staff, probably as a bit of an inspirational tool. Is that possible?
We can definitely do that. I mean, all the videos are all just recorded on our teachers' phones or using their laptop devices and that in school. So, I mean, it's very simple to recreate if people are interested in doing it themselves. But we'll be happy to share some of them.
We can share some of them on our YouTube channel as well, so that people can access them.
Oh, brilliant. So there you go. So on the screen now, you've got several links to all the different social media, and it looks like YouTube's included in there. So maybe have a look on there, and you might be able to find some great examples. And by all means, tune into the session yesterday where you can see some of the Danesfield staff, give some really good hints and tips on that. They're also asking, what do you use to create those videos?
So like I say, it's generally just teachers use their own phones and record videos themselves using their own devices, or just their laptop within school, and then they just get uploaded to Microsoft Stream, and then by putting them onto Stream, the children can access them like safely and securely through Teams, and they'll stream within Teams without having to actually download any files or anything. So a really quick and easy way to do it.
Oh yeah, and having the videos stored on online or in the cloud it saves hard drive space, doesn't it? On computers?
Yeah.
And streaming is the way forward. Okay, brilliant. You've had another comment just saying really helpful. Thank you very much. So some nice things said. Hey, again, guys, thank you so much for joining us today and help present for everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. There's plenty more still to come, but if you want to see this session again, then spread the word, tell people about it, because it is going to be made available, and I'm sure lots of people will gain lots of help from watching this. Oh, we do have one other question very quickly. It's just come in, if you don't mind, Sarah and Ben. But
Yeah.
what about GDPR? We don't encourage staff to use their own devices. How have you overcome that?
So it's in our ICT code of conduct within staff, which was approved by our governors. We have we have a situation where if we're using our own devices within school to just record the teachers, then the children aren't involved anyway. But if they are sharing pictures that they're uploading for Twitter, then they just make sure that they're deleted from their devices once they have been uploaded. We've also had permission from all the parents to do this, but we've just built it into our code of conduct.
There you go. Get your policies right.
Just to build on that, we recognised how valuable having phones and cameras and video opportunities is by using these devices. And actually, it's a lot more challenging to get a device that can film anywhere near as good a quality, I guess.
Yeah, no, agreed completely. And we do something very similar. So it's certainly not uncommon, and I think if you need any help and advice on that, I'm sure the guys would be willing to help you with that. And just finally, one last comment. Inspirational. Thank you so much. So it's I think a sentiment shared by so many. Okay, thank you again. Thank you, and we'll see you hopefully on some of the other sessions. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.